This is a weird one. Jett Woo has just been traded to Calgary, and the first three letters of this video are WHL. The thumbnail, there's Calgary Hitmen logos in the thumbnail, so don't worry, this is not a Canucks trading to the Flames video. The Calgary Hitmen have acquired Jett Woo in a major trade, it is dubbed on their website. The Calgary Hitmen Hockey Club today announced they have acquired Vancouver Canucks 2018 second-round pick Jett Woo from the Moose Jaw Warriors in exchange for import defenseman Vladislav Yeryomenko, forward Ryder Korczak, the 11th overall selection in today's 2019 WHL Bantam Draft, and a second-round pick in 2021. So essentially, what we have here is Jett Woo getting traded over to Calgary in exchange for some younger players and some draft picks. This is kind of interesting because we actually don't really know what the plan is for Jett Woo going into 2019-20. Does Jett Woo make himself a case for making the NHL? And don't get me wrong, I don't want to confidently say yes, I'm only asking the question because that's the only other option here. Jett Woo is not eligible to go into the AHL until he turns 20, which he doesn't do until 2020. So Jett Woo next year is either going to play in the WHL or he's going to play in the NHL. I don't know if there would be any consideration whatsoever for going over to Europe. I don't even know if that's really an option here. But it has been done before, and overall, Jett Woo going over to Calgary is totally going to change things up for what we're expecting out of him, because the Moose Jaw Warriors in this past season, they were really stacked. Tristan Langan, Justin Almeida, and Braden Tracy made up that top line, and Josh Brook and Jett Woo on the points. They were just an absolute unit of 5 players, all over a point per game. Some of them are nearing that 1.7, 1.8 points per game rank, which is incredible. Jett Woo, out of the top 5, actually had the lowest points per game out of that unit, and he had 66 points in 62 games. So really, going over to Calgary, things are going to be switched up tenfold for Jett Woo, and it's actually kind of weird to think about because the Calgary Hitmen, they finished just below the Moose Jaw Warriors in the standings. The Warriors had like 4 more wins or something like that, but looking at the Calgary Hitmen and their players, if Jett Woo had the same point totals this year as he did with Moose Jaw on Calgary, Jett Woo would have been second on his team in points. He was 5th in Moose Jaw. So going over into 2019-2020, assuming that Jett Woo doesn't make the NHL and he stays back in the dub, he'll have to carry the load on his shoulders a little bit more than he had to with Moose Jaw. Because in Moose Jaw, the top line was consisted of 2 overagers and a draft-eligible Braden Tracy. Josh Brook is a guy who might make the Habs next year, who really knows? And even if he doesn't, he's turning 20 in the summer, so he's eligible to go to the AHL. Jett Woo is going to go over to Calgary, and I wouldn't be surprised if his numbers next year were lower than his numbers this year. Because he was over a point per game this year. He was great, he had a good showing, and he had amazing teammates around him to help him boost his point totals. I don't want to say that Jett Woo is bad. I don't want to say that Jett Woo is leeching off of his teammates for points. That's not what I'm saying here. For sure, he took some great offensive strides from his draft year into his draft +1. But I am saying that next season, I'm not necessarily expecting another huge jump in points. Frankly, I would not be surprised if he was under a point per game, just because of the circumstances with his team this year and how good it was. Overall, though, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he goes over into Calgary and he has way over a point per game and he proves himself as one of the top defensemen in the WHL and solidifies his NHL potential. Because Jett Woo right now has top 4 potential in my opinion, and if he has a great Calgary season that was better than this year with worse teammates than he had this year, then he'd certainly be making a case for boosting that potential higher. And that's ultimately what I want, but I can't realistically sit here and say to myself, yes, that is guaranteed going to happen. So Jett Woo going into next year, expect a little bit of a point drop in his points. Don't be surprised by that. It's just how the things work out. And ultimately what this does is it takes a Jett Woo who was on a really stacked team, and it puts him on a team that's not as stacked, making him the top dog, making him the #1 D-man, and putting him in a position where he has to carry the load himself as a leader. He's got the team on his back. He doesn't have Almeida, Langen, Tracy, and Brooke to fall back on anymore. And I'm not trying to trash the Hitmen, I'm just saying that Moose Jaw was better than the Hitmen this season, especially in terms of point production, but that's ultimately what this opportunity is giving to Woo. And when all is said and done, Jett Woo is still a fantastic NHL prospect, and one that I'm very happy the Canucks have. Hope you guys enjoyed this bit of Gaming, and bye.